Hey everyone, welcome back to Rhythm Railroad. Today I'm working on this area of my layout, which is supposed to be a container car slash spine car loading and unloading area or a mini yard. It's only 2 tracks, so I'm calling it a mini yard. But the idea here is that I want to have some kind of modern setting on my modern railroad where you have containers and trailers. That seems to be the most popular type of rolling stock out there in modern times. So I thought it would be appropriate to have this here. Now, the only area I had available, or what I planned to do, was put it in this area here for two reasons. Number one, I knew that I was going to need a lot of straight track to get these long cars lined up and to make it make sense. I didn't want to make it so short that you can only get like 3 cars and that's it. And especially if you have some sets of 5, like the older ones came in sets of 5. But I think this is the perfect compromise here because you can get basically 2 sets of well cars. And even though these are a little bit shorter, these are 48s, the 53s will still fit here because I do have a little headroom here if I need a little more space there. And I have more, you can see there's more track left here. So this is here for a reason. I'll explain that in 1 second. But first, let me just get to the general plan here. The plan is that, you need to have trucks come into this area and leave this area. So it can't just be where trains come in and then that's it, and then there's just container cars everywhere. There's no reason for the containers to be there. So I had to kind of plan ahead for that. So what I figured is that the trucks are going to come into this area somehow under this sort of like flyover track here from CSX. And the best that I can come up with was that since this was the highest point, I can get the trucks through here with plenty of clearance. Right, these trailers, right? They're gonna fit just fine. And if I, even if I need to build the road up a little bit to make it work better, I still have room there. So that was the first obstacle. And by the way, I just started working on this today. So this portal is brand new. I just cut it a few minutes ago, and the walls, between that's also new. So, that's going to look more like this eventually. More like concrete, and there's going to be obviously some weathering on it and stuff like that to make it look more realistic. But for right now, it's just there. I have to blend it into this retaining wall here. The retaining wall I did a few days ago. I'm happy with how that came out as far as like just the plain wall. Now I have to dress it up kind of like this, give it a little detail, expansion joints, things like that. But I needed something there. Because before that, it was just hollow. You could see, right through the tracks there, or right through the supporting wood. Anyways, getting back to the plan here, the idea is that the traffic comes in, like I said, through here. And I have options. What I'm thinking right now is that they make a sharp right as they come in. And this is kind of like the main road to enter the facility here. There's going to be a crane here. That's going to be for loading and unloading. And then over here, it's either going to be just a passing road in case they don't need to do that. Or maybe they picked up a trailer from here and they just need to get around while this is loading and unloading. Or it might be where, I have some other kind of configuration where, maybe the crane is on this side. If I can get this to balance, you get the idea. The crane's on this side, and then the trailer would be, the loading would be on this side instead. I don't know if I like that too much because, this side of the, let me just lay this on. This side of the layout, obviously, or of the bench work is really close to this track, so I don't want it to be where like, they're unloading right on top of this track and there potentially be a train there or whatever. So. The idea is that this is going to be a return road. So in other words, the trains, or rather the trucks come in this way, and then what they're going to do is they're going to go wide here. Obviously, I'll reserve this for the turn. and I'll make the road markings here so that they can turn, right? And then these tracks are not going to be here, but that's what this is for. So this is what I'm marking as like a cutting point, pretty much right here, which will allow, you know, the trucks to be able to turn here comfortably and then return through here. And then there'll be a crossing somewhere at this point. I'll probably build this out a little bit and kind of do the same thing so they have room to leave. Also, this retaining wall I built a long time ago, thinking that I was going to have more room here. And I like, you know, the fact that it's on a slant like this, but it's taken away from the road on this side. So what I might do is redo this, make it a little bit of a slope just to the halfway point, and then go straight up, which will then buy me pretty much another like 3/4 inches or potentially an inch. I think just 3/4 is all I'm going to get away with here. But that'll be more significant as far as like creating a road here. This seems a little narrow to me. You know, the truck being coming through there fits, but it seems a little forced. So by having more road here, I think that'll be more realistic. And again, I'm kind of sandwiched here with the tracks being on both ends, so I don't have too much of a choice. Just a little backstory. Originally, the tracks were going to be in the center so that this would be equally distributed between the bench work. But what I ran into with that is that then I had no room to put containers, or not enough containers. Everything looked compressed. And so I was going to put containers on that side and containers on this side. And I was like, I didn't want things stacked up here and people knocking them over or blocking from the scene, you know. So I'd rather push everything this way as much as possible. Make this just a road here so it's low profile. You can still kind of take nice pictures this way. And then get all the high stuff, you know, the stacks and the trailers and whatever on that end. So this seems to be the best plan so far. And so, you know, I'm going to try to solidify it in the next few weeks so that I can start putting down my concrete. You know, what the idea here is that all these tracks are going to be completely covered in concrete, right? They're going to be, this is all going to be like one big surface. And obviously I'll draw the road lines to protect, or I might even put like Jersey barriers, just something to protect from, you know, between the trucks and the train. But you know, I want to make it all like one level that just kind of feeds right into the road that's coming from back there somewhere. So, you know, like I said, it looks like I have enough room to make this work. It is a little tight, but it's not supposed to be like a big project here. Like this is supposed to be like where a few trains come in once in a while. They drop off. The crane operator does whatever it needs to do to get everything sorted and reloaded, and then another train comes in and picks it up and it's gone. So you know, I'm just playing with some kind of simplistic kind of idea. Now the way this is going to tie in, and you know, what I tried to do here is make this look a little bit like Schenectady. I know there's no intermodal anything in Schenectady, but there are some big areas of industry there. You know, I've seen like big storage warehouses, you know, for, it looks like refrigerated things, because there's a lot of refrigerator cars that come into the area. There's also like a scrap metal thing and, you know, a few different industries, but I wanted this particular industry, and this is the only place I can put it in because I've run out of bench work, and, you know, I really wanted this to happen here. Especially at the back end of the yard. I think it's kind of neat that you just, you know, the yard master is going to have an extra job to bring that stuff back and, you know, kind of sort it before they put it back into these holding tracks, and then the train, whoever's picking it up, can just back in here and grab the train and leave. So that's the plan. I've been working around this, and especially in that back corner here, because it's very hard to reach from here to that back corner there. So I'm trying to get all of that completely done and kind of work my way forward so that I'm not breaking things here or like leaning on things that I shouldn't be leaning on. But, you know, I usually have a little bit of a backache when I'm working back there. I was originally going to build all of that on a piece of foam where I could just slip it in, but I've come to realize that that's not that's not going to work because there's a lot of overlapping, and also the buildings are kind of on the tall side, so they, I don't want them to hit when I'm trying to shove that in there. Plus, everything depends on other things. The retaining wall has to be pushed against the foam, and so on and so forth. And I guess if I really wanted to do it, I could, but I don't have the patience. So as long as I can reach back there, the plan is going to be, especially that back building there, is to make that completely done, and just to get it back there. And by the way, that building is also acting as a little bit of a mask for all the wires that are going to be coming through in the back there to get up to the second level, because I don't have any other way to get them up there. So I'm glad I picked a nice tall building for that. This building I started kind of putting more together. There's there's obviously I spray painted it. I gave it two different colors. I put the window frames in already, so it's close to being done. I just got to get all the window details in there, and obviously everything else that comes along with it, roof details and so on and so forth. But the idea is that I get this completely done. Now, I always wanted some kind of road that kind of went through the buildings. Like, you see this a lot in urban areas. And it was also a way to mask, the fact that these tracks are supposed to keep going, like, forever. But it was a way to mask that a little bit. And what I did is I put mirrors back there. So it looks like, you can't really see it right now, but it looks like, the tracks continue into the city. But this was a little tricky. I had to kind of create a road surface with an angle that kind of disappears on either end. Obviously, this is going into trees right now, but the idea is that, we're going to mask that by putting some kind of structure in front of it. All I have right now is this. This is actually it's the back of that building. So it's probably not going to be this. It's probably going to be something else. But the idea is that this would go kind of like this on top of this tunnel portal here, and kind of, mask not only the road, but it would blend into the buildings in the back there, right? So I'm still kind of working out the details with that, but I think it's going to look neat once it's in place. And there is enough room here to make it convincing looking, where, a building would fit on top of that and the trucks would be going underneath. And then what I'm going to do also is continue this tree line that you see back here on the backdrop. I have space here, obviously, so this is all going to be full of trees, and it's going to kind of blend into whatever building is going to be there, which will be blocking this, and then obviously, continuing on. And then on this side, it's kind of the same thing. I got to just make more structures here. And then I don't know if this is going to be further, this backdrop, it's going to be further that way or further this way, but I got to figure out some kind of connection where it kind of dips down and goes behind the buildings here. So the buildings kind of take over here, and all you see is the sky in the back. And then obviously I would fill that up with trees back there too. I do have a space where I can fill it in with trees and make it blend into the trees that you see here. So all of that is kind of coming together. This seems to be very nicely put together so far, and it makes sense. But I might just shift the whole thing over. This is not permanent yet. The backdrop is not permanent. It's just taped on there. But I might shift it over a little bit more and then kind of make it drop there. I'm not too worried about that. I'm worried about this corner really making sense and being done before anything else happens. So that's where I'm at. Hopefully, this will come out nice, and it'll be, effective as far as like the whole scene. Plus functional. I need this to actually make sense for operations. So I think it's as good as it's going to get, unless I get more bench work in place, that's not going to happen. All right, so this is, I guess, my first video for this project, and I'll hopefully upload more as I make more progress here throughout the next couple of weeks. All right, thanks for watching. Take care.